Mandalorian and Grogu is out now. So let's talk about some spoilers. Why? Come on. This is the first theatrically released Star Wars film in nearly 7 years and needs a proper welcome. But that's a spoiler warning for The Mandalorian and Grogu. If you haven't seen it yet, if you plan on watching it and you care about spoilers, probably shouldn't watch this video. If you've already seen it, or you just don't care, let's talk about some spoilers. Like every spoiler talk, this isn't going to be a play-by-play of the plot and things that go down. It's going to kind of feel like that. But in reality, there's going to be plenty of things that I just don't talk about. Skip over them, whatever. So the Mandalorian Grogu starts out. Well, I already talked about how it starts out. But he's badass bounty hunter. Then we get to the CGI walker scene, the noticeably scene in which there are thermal detonators in this walker that the Mandalorian and Grogu are in. And Grogu is all tapping on his helmet like, dude, there's detonators back there. And he's like, I know, I gotta get this shot. Hold on. And the clock's ticking. It's just going beep, those things that are going to blow up because everyone forgot that little baby Yoda has the Force. And he can just be like, all good. I threw the detonator out the side of the walker because it's definitely open. We're good now. We're fine. But he takes out his target, gets back to base command of the New Republic, end of episode 1. Sigourney Weaver now gives him a new ship that looks like his old ship. He had to go talk to a couple of Hutt twins because these Hutt twins want to almost call him Zorba the Hutt. That's not him, Rada the Hutt, Jabba the Hutt's son. He needs to talk to them, who wants him to find him. He knows where the Imperial guy that he's looking for might be. He has to do a lot. The most recent holo photo, it's a lot. He has to do a lot. The most recent holo photo of Rada the Hutt, these Hutt twins are from, that's right, the Clone Wars. Like the animated Clone Wars that came out that no one really likes. Why would that be the most recent photo? Why would that be the most recent scan that they have of Rada the Hutt? It's because it's the most recent image we have. And so the audience can go, oh, that's the little baby Hutt from the animated series. But he's all grown up now. I think it personally would have been cooler to not have it so on the nose and just, oh, he's going after Rada the Hutt. Because it doesn't really matter if he's from the Clone Wars. Fans who get it can get it. Fans who don't. Fans who don't might get it later, and it makes it kind of cooler. Mando talks to a vendor for information voiced by Martin Scorsese, making the second easiest paycheck in the entire film, next to Sigourney Weaver. He's actually looking for this Imperial guy. He doesn't know the identity of Rada the Hutt might know, so this little dude might know where the Hutt is. Rada the Hutt's like, no, I like it here fighting, so he has to go talk to another guy. Has to talk to the guy that actually puts on the gladiator matches, which this guy he talked to led him to this guy, which he now has to talk to that. Which ends up that the guy he talked to later is actually the guy he's looking for all along. In video game speech, this is called a multi-tier fetch quest. That moment where you're like, all right, I'm going to turn in this quest. Let it be over now. I got to go talk to this other person. So Mando's dealing with that now. So Rada the Hutt, voiced by Jeremy Allen White, because you can't even tell that's Jeremy Allen White. And I don't mean that like you can't even tell that's Daniel Day-Lewis. Not that Jeremy Allen White isn't great. He is great. But he could have been voiced by anybody. But the final season of The Bear drops next month on Hulu, owned by Disney. One thing these studios and companies love, it's a very stealthy cross-promotion. So the whole thing is Rada the Hutt's nothing like his father. He doesn't want anything to do with Jabba the Hutt or his legacy. He is, in fact, so determined to break the family cycle. He's been hitting the gym, getting his pump on, slamming greeting, speaking English. Never seen a Hutt gladiator before, and he's perfectly content being a gladiator. However, there is a dialogue there between the two characters, between the Hutt and Mando. It was weird because it was repeat dialogue just in two different instances. Rada the Hutt's like, I don't like my father. I want nothing to do with my father. When I'm out there, I feel alive. And those people out there, they like what I bring them. Then Mando goes and talks to the guy who puts on the gladiators. He's like, dude, let me just buy him out for the last match. I need to take him with me. Dude's like, he's about to enter a boss rush move. He ain't walking out of that. Slugging out of that, Mando goes back to Rada the Hutt and he's like, you're going to die here. Come with me. And Rada the Hutt's like, I don't like my father. I want nothing to do with my father. But when I'm out there, I feel alive. And those people out there, they like what I bring them. Rada is like an old man who repeats the same story over and over. So Mando gets gassed. He has to fight Rada the Hutt in the arena. He has to enter a CGI monster fight. End of episode 2. Then other monsters come out and they're recognizable because they're some of the pieces on that game in this. They're recognizable because there's some of the pieces on that game in the Millennium Falcon. And Mando and Rada are like, okay, let's get into a CGI monster fight. on the tail end of ours. But Mando does apprehend this Imperial guy that they've been looking for alive this time, so he can tell the Republic what the Empire is up to. But the movie never tells. But hey, here's to the new season or whatever spinoff they're going for. So the bounty hunter from Clone Wars, what's his name? Embo? He makes his live-action debut. It's still animated debut in Mandalorian Grogu. Zeb is also in this movie because it just feels like nostalgia bait. But we've hit the realm. I guess Disney's had Star Wars for this long where they can have a nostalgia bait for Disney Star Wars. But Rebels did wrap up in 2018. Time flies, especially as you age. After Mando's like, peace, said Jordan Weaver, I'm going to go relax. Baby Yoda and I are just going to, I don't know, chill. This bounty hunter apprehends Mando to bring him back to the Hutts because the Hutts wanted Rada. You know, he didn't bring Rada the twins. He was just like, all right, stay low, enjoy your life. But time moves quickly. The twins have gotten Rada the Hutt, and they're just basically torturing Rada the Hutt with electricity because, you know, he's going to live a long time, so he's going to be tortured for a very long time. End of episode. There aren't actually episode breaks in the movie, but you can see where they were going to be in the show. That's the moment you saw in the trailer, which I actually thought was going to happen longer and more often. Mando gets his helmet taken off. The Hutts are like, this metal fetches a small fortune on the black market. They were like, and we understand in your religion, this is a very bad thing. We can't see your face. I liked his response. He was like, not if you die. Credit where credit's due. Pretty badass response. The movie does treat it like it's a problem. These Hutts now have to die. And while they do, he makes good on the promise. But first, he falls down the trapdoor and he has to fight I'm going to butcher it, Leviathan. And then the dumbest thing, this is arguably the dumbest thing in the movie, the Hutts are like, hey, good luck down there. Here's your helmet back. They tossed him his helmet back. They tossed him what is worth a small fortune on the black market back to him. Respecting his religion, the price of a small fortune, though they already dropped him down there, still wearing the rest of his Beskar armor. That's a lot of money still on him. That's like dropping your enemy duct tape with cash down there to get eaten by a Leviathan. These Hutts are not smart criminals. At the very least, they're not financially savvy. But because they all apparently knew they were in a movie that requires the Mandalorian to keep his helmet on, he gets his helmet back. Grogu busts him out of the Leviathan pit because Grogu and the furry minion variants, they've been on their side quest to rescue the Mandalorian. Real question though, how did Grogu know where Mando was being taken to? Maybe Mando has a tracking device that I don't know about. Maybe Grogu felt where he was with the Force. But you got to establish that, you know? You got to have that moment where Grogu is like, oh, I know where he is. So I either missed something or it's just the luckiest pull on Earth for Grogu to know where he was being taken. If your answer is, well, he just screwed over the Hutts, logically, well, if you were like Joe the mailman who screwed over the Hutts, then yeah, probably being taken to the Hutts. But he's a bounty hunter. He's pissed off a myriad of people over the course of his career. Could have been anybody doing retaliation. Maybe the Hutts would be a good place to start. Anyhow, moving on. So Mando's been poisoned by that snake. He's dying. Baby Yoda builds him a little hut. Not like a hut, but a hut. He builds him a little baby Yoda hut to hide him while he's hopefully heals. Even does Force heal on him because Grogu can do that. He either learned it in the Jedi Academy, in which Obi-Wan would have known how to do that, or he learned it while training with Luke Skywalker, which Luke Skywalker would have known how to do that. Point is, he can do that, but it's not quite enough. Mando needs an antidote. Once you know, just down a little ways in this apparently uninhabited swampland, there is, in fact, one inhabitant who grinds up a little potion, says, hey, might be too late, but give it to him. He gives it to him, Mando's good. He's like, let's say we kill ourselves a couple of slugs. Saw his face, and he did make a promise to tune in next week for the finale. These Hutts got a lot of repurposed droids, so they fight a couple of big Sentinel robots that you figured would probably be a problem when they walked by them initially. So instead of big CGI monster fight, we get into big CGI robot fight, in which we get into the Hutt throne room. And now we enter a big CGI monster fight, and it's Rada the Hutt fighting the twins. And there's so much. It's a lot of sluggery just slamming the floor. You see the door buckling and all the Hutts fall. The twins and Rada the Hutt. Only Baby Yoda now remembered like, oh, that's right, I have the Force. And he lifts Rada the Hutt up, and Rada doesn't go down to the Leviathan pit. The twins do, though. They get eaten by a Leviathan. Bummer is, when that moment happens, you start thinking back to every moment Grogu, remembering he can use the Force like that would have been pretty advantageous. So they make their big break for it to get out of this place. Sigourney shows up with a fleet to rescue Mando and maybe a little more. Droids are pursuing our friends. This is a rescue mission after all. Proton torpedoes locked. Let's level that place. It is a hut nest, though. Apparently not all huts are bad. Is that a nest of evil bad huts? Or maybe it's like an apartment in Cyberpunk. Maybe bad elements can run it, but there might be some decent family huts just trying to get by who are living there. Look, we don't have time. We don't have time to debate this, and we didn't bring the U-Wing, so we can't do that jump on the moving wagon. Burn them all. Anyhow, the huts die, our friends get out, and everyone lives happily ever after. I mean, Dave Filoni is in this movie. He's one of the pilots who showed up at the end. We also see him when Mando goes and talks to Sigourney Weaver, but he's Dave Filoni as Dave Filoni. Even has the cowboy hat. It looks like they accidentally filmed Dave. He stands out like the Starbucks cup in Game of Thrones. Not even trying to be a new character. But this movie does have one of the worst line deliveries, and it's by Sigourney Weaver. She's talking to Mando, and her line is, "We'll see, Mando, we'll see." It's the spoken audible equivalent of the death scene in Dark Knight Rises. That's pretty much it. That's the Mandalorian Grogu. In a world where a theatrically released film that's part of a world from television is not new, historically there is always that feeling of, oh, this movie feels like more than the TV show. You want to save the important plot to got to see its storyline for the big screen. This felt like episodic filler episodes on the big screen. It's like after Moana 2 broke $1 billion, Disney learned they can just repurpose television episodes into movies. This is the kind of movie that's made for the sake of holding on to the theatrical film rights for an IP, which would make sense if I felt like Disney was at risk of losing Star Wars IP. Is this movie better than Solo, a Star Wars story? To be fair, I've only seen Solo, a Star Wars story once or twice when I saw it in theaters. But in terms of this and Solo, Star Wars story, one's a mess, clashing of visions among different directors, and the other is theatrically released filler episodes of a TV show that feels like it was written by AI. It's better than Rise of Skywalker. To be fair, Star Wars used to inspire people. How many directors out there are like, I saw Star Wars and I locked in, that was my career goal. Star Wars was part of the cultural zeitgeist, Star Wars movie hype. Disney killing the legacy of Star Wars is seen by the lack of hype for this movie. It will be studied one day, and I've seen people say this, and I absolutely agree with it. This doesn't feel like film. It doesn't feel like cinema. It feels like content. But to be clear, this doesn't take away from Star Wars for me. Don't hate Star Wars? I got the Star Wars I love, and I do love it, and there is that. All right, The Mandalorian and Grogu, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Or what's your favorite Disney Star Wars thing, movie, show, whatever. Whatever it is, whatever you think, comment below and let me know. And as always, if you like what you see here, you want to see more, click the bell button to be notified of future videos. And if you want to support the channel, you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/cinemagold. As always, thank you so much for watching and listening. We'll see you next time.